Alright everyone, today on shows that are so boring I don't know why they have any fans, we've got Dr. Phil, who's not actually a doctor. He's a legacy entertainer. Now, keep in mind, the concept of outdatedness, of boring legacy-ness, corruption, it goes beyond the media. Most of the time, because that's the sort of thing that I do, I focus on media figures, like this pundit is corrupt. That news CEO, this so-called journalist, they're corrupt in some way, they're lying, they're inefficient, they get problems. The same is true of entertainment, though. Just the same way that somebody can get millions and millions and millions of views and likes and everything else spread and go totally viral, make millions of bucks, basically with a webcam and a laptop, whereas a studio, like an entertainment, like a Hollywood-style studio, they're like, oh yeah, it takes $10 million just to physically operate every year, and we've got to do all sorts of ad stuff, and branding, and merchandise, and got to fight for them ratings, basically, in order just to survive. It's woefully inefficient. It requires equipment that's, beyond the means of even most people who would be marginally wealthy. So it doesn't really make sense the way that they choose to do it. But Dr. Phil's in a little bit of trouble because this isn't a case. If this were one person claiming it, even though I don't like Dr. Phil, I'd just give him the benefit of the doubt. I'd be like, oh, someone got disgruntled because they got yelled at by Dr. Phil on his show. You've got multiple people, though, guests, claiming, and these are guests that apparently had addiction issues, that like vodka and Xanax were offered in the green room before the show. The idea was, I guess they were luring them into getting sauced. So that they would be more entertaining, so that it would make for better television. They're literally using them, and then like they throw them into some random rehab. Like in all honesty, they will pay for their rehab program. It's like you just got them wasted and potentially broke the law, giving them drugs as well in some of these cases. And you've got multiple people claiming that this is the case. Now, my opinion of Dr. Phil remains largely unchanged because I've never liked the dude. I took one look at him in one show and said, this is a person with big ego problems, holier-than-thou attitude. It's standard psychotherapist. You see, psychotherapy and psychology, which he is not, I believe, even licensed to practice in the state where he records his show. Like, he can't even practice it in an official medical capacity. He's not technically Dr. Phil in that situation. It's just a moniker that he's got affixed to his name. Does he even have a PhD in this? I'm not actually 100% sure he does. He's basically a showman. He plays a therapist on TV, just like Mari plays a relationship counselor, or Jerry Springer plays a sane human being. And I've seen that comparison made, and I've made it too. Basically, Dr. Phil is the white-collar Jerry Springer, just as Mari is the blue-collar Jerry Springer. Just as Jerry Springer is the trailer-dwelling Dr. Phil. They're all basically the same when you think about it, making exactly the same kind of entertainment. It's just, with Jerry Springer, he brings on, like, purposefully the dregs of society. Mari brings on the average Johnny-come-lately sort of average Joe individual. And then Dr. Phil, he usually has people from, like, the business class aboard his show. Like, oh, this perfect suburban family, they've got, marginal six-figure income, they live in the burbs, they've got the two-car garage, shiny family. Oh, but little Susan decided to smoke the devil's lettuce. We have to get her on for an intervention immediately. And then, of course, yells at people, says, you're not willing to admit that you have a problem, so you have a problem. Now, keep in mind, when people act like that, whether it's on TV or it's just an actual therapist in real life or just a person who you're talking to, they get their own problems. They may just not be forthcoming about it. Maybe Dr. Phil is a total alcoholic. Would you even know? Would you fucking know? And yet you're trusting him to drag your kids up on TV in order to get them into free rehab because you're too cheap to keep it on the down low. Which is ridiculous. It's, in my opinion, the entire premise of these kinds of shows is exploitation. Now, if you say that about Jerry Springer, people would be like, yeah, of course, he's exploiting weirdos. Or actors that are pretending to be weirdos. That skinhead that he had on today looked a lot like the deadbeat husband that was on last month. Looked a lot like the failed chef who was looking for a loan from his deadbeat brother 2 years ago. I think I'm noticing a pattern here. Yeah, it's definitely the case. But if you say that about Springer, which is the same basic premise of a show. It's like, yeah, it's exploitation for entertainment and profit. If you say that about Dr. Phil, his little cult of bald-headed fans, no, he helps people, he's respectable. It's not like Jerry, yeah, it is. It's exactly like Jerry Springer. It's the same exact, when he pitched his show idea, he probably invoked Springer's name. Oh yeah, I want to make Jerry Springer, but I want to be a therapist and wear a suit instead of talking to transvestite dwarves. Okay. And they greenlight it, and he makes a lot of money. Now, if you want something that approaches reality a little bit more, at least Judge Judy is technically licensed to practice law. But Dr. Phil, it's not exactly the case. I don't like any of those shows, by the way. It's not quite reality. Just watch literal reality TV that you know is lock, stock, and barrel 100% total dramatization. That can be funny if you have good script writers, which most of these shows don't. Or watch something that's actually real. Don't try to half-ass it and make a show that's like faux reality. Because that's exactly like what the Dr. Phils of the world are. It's really, really bland, and it's boring, and stupid. It's stupid to participate. So, and I think, if I remember correctly, didn't his wife, his first wife, divorce him for being violent? I'm pretty sure that that's the case. Now, I'm not sure whether I can corroborate. You can look it up. Maybe it's the case. Maybe I'm totally wrong, or I'm thinking of a different therapist on TV. But he rubs me the wrong way, and I've never been a fan of his show, unfortunately. People in the boomer demographic really seem to like Dr. Phil a lot, and so for years there, I had to listen to Dr. Phil constantly. I'm like, why are you watching this? God, put it on C-SPAN. It's better than this, At least then we know that everything we're seeing is a lie. With Dr. Phil, it's like he's pretending that it's reality. Come on, there's 10 million better things even on TV to watch. Dr. Phil would be you watch Springer. At least then you get the raunchiness and some of the weirdness. You don't get that on Dr. Phil. You get a sanitized, white-collar, middle America version of Jerry Springer. It's basically Springer for people who don't want to be seen stereotypically as, oh yeah, I scarfed them Twinkies and fell in love with my cousin. That's basically what Dr. Phil's premise entirely is. So yeah, you should probably resign if he's actually doing this. And apparently the investigation, I guess, is ongoing. But it's more than just a mere allegation. It seems like some funny business was happening. Now, of course, it could have just been like a rogue staffer or an advisor. It could have been a manager or something. Okay, maybe give him the benefit of the doubt, but I mean, come on. Don't people have a fucking problem with this? If the entire idea of the show, according to its audience, is, oh, we're getting people help. We got to get this kid help because he didn't want to take the pharmaceuticals that are so good for him. He wanted to smoke a joint. That's terrible for him because, because Dr. Phil said so or Jeff Sessions said so. If that's the whole idea, is to help people, and they're not being helped, they're actually getting sauced up on vodka in the green room, why have the show? Yeah. I thought it was funny because when I saw Dr. Phil trending, at first I assumed that he had a heart attack or something. Like in a fit of anger, in one of his bitter moments, the angry fat recongealed in his arteries and choked him out. And he fell into a coma. He's like Garner's daughter or sister there or whatever. Erica Garner, who I believe is dead now. Actually, I think she was in a coma and they pulled life support, if I remember correctly. Which is too bad, because she was generally quite a sane individual. She actually attacked the fanatics on the left for attempting to use the Garner case to promulgate their bullshit. So yeah, it was a bad thing. But as far as Dr. Phil, when I looked it up and I saw, oh, he was probably giving people alcohol and drugs, I'm like, oh, well, what a big surprise. A showman is drugging people up and dragging them up on stage to be more entertaining as part of his showmanship. Well, yeah, no duh. Yeah, it's good ratings. Yeah, a few extra 100,000 people tuned in to see the dude who's obviously alcoholic at the time of recording, as opposed to the dude who simply says, well, yeah, I'm an alcoholic and I need help. That's not dramatic enough. No, he's got to be 3 sheets to the wind. He's got to have at least, a half a liter of vodka in him. He's got to have a few shots and then a couple of Xanax. It was really safe, too. Yeah, pill popping and drinking at the same time. That's about all. Peace out.